What's good, guys? It's your boy 50K Clay back here, tapped in with yet another video, man. Today, I'm super excited to talk about the subject at hand, which is James Gunn's latest Superman movie, man. If y'all don't know me, I'm a big comic book fan. I'm a nerd. I ain't gonna lie. I'm a nerd. I love both DC and Marvel. I really can't even choose a favorite. I love both publishers. I don't really have a favorite. I got favorite characters like Batman, Daredevil, Spider-Man. But one of those characters being Superman. So, like I said, I love comic books. I read all of the Superman books. I love Superman specifically. I read Superman for all seasons, Superman Birthright, The Man of Steel, Superman Brainiac, All-Star Superman, of course, according to James Gunn, had a really big influence on this movie. And speaking of James Gunn, he's somebody whose work I've admired for a long time. Obviously, he directed the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And his style, his taste, the way he's able to really understand the characters, and even like some of the niche characters that aren't really as popular. Like he turned Guardians of Galaxy, somebody who were like D or F tier list superheroes, into A-listers, to making a whole trilogy about their movies, and it was really dope. So when I said I was excited for this movie, I was excited. I love Superman, I love James Gunn, and that seems just like the perfect mashing of things that I love. I was just super excited to see the take James Gunn had on Superman, because for a while we've had a lot of similar takes on Superman. It's just boring. I'm so bored of evil Superman. So I was super excited when they said that James Gunn, specifically, somebody whose movies have historically had themes of like family and hope and optimism, that I was super excited when I heard that he was gonna be directing this film. I'm somebody, I have faith in James Gunn. Even when, I ain't gonna lie, the trailers, they wasn't looking all that hot to me. I'm like, okay, James Gunn, I'm gonna trust you. I trust you. I believe in you. You cooked before. He's cooked before. Seeing the trailers, I'm excited for the film because I trust James Gunn. But seeing the trailers really didn't make me all that hype. I'm gonna be honest. But boy, when I tell you this movie, this is the Superman that I've personally have been waiting on. I'm tired of the dark shit. I'm tired of the ultra realistic superhero where, oh my god, everybody's dark and everybody's depressed and Superman does not hope. It's boring. It's the same themes have been worn to pieces, bro. Starting with Man of Steel, and I'm somebody that liked Man of Steel when it came out. I saw Man of Steel like 3 times, but that was, for me, that was around like sixth or seventh grade. I really didn't understand the nature of Superman and why Superman was so important, and why Zack Snyder's film was getting so much critique and so much flack. But now that I have the benefit of hindsight, and I've read a lot of Superman comics, I'm like, I rewatched Man of Steel recently, and I'm like, this is cool. And one of the main reasons I liked it as a kid, it was just so action heavy. I mean, I really feel like Zack Snyder didn't really understand the character of Superman that much. I feel like James Gunn just really misinterpreted the character. I partially blame that on Warner Brothers too. It's not just a Zack Snyder thing. They had the final cut. They had the final choice in who was the director. So I say all that to say that with James Gunn, who has a history of understanding these characters and, making them really translatable from the books to the screen, and you can tell he actually loves and has an appreciation for the comics, as opposed to, some directors be like, they'll read the comics and be like, I'm gonna flip this my entire whole way. And I feel like as a director, you kind of have to do that. But we have 80 years, 50 years, 60 years, 70 years of this comic, of this character existing. Why don't you just take what's been done before and make it in your own way, while still honoring the feeling of the book? And I feel like James Gunn was a perfect choice. Now, hiring James Gunn was the first good choice Warner Brothers has had in a minute. I was excited to see James Gunn's work on this project, and when I tell you he cooked, he cooked. He cooked, I ain't gonna lie. He made Superman into who he's supposed to be. Superman is not Batman, bro. Zack Snyder. Superman is not Batman. I feel like Warner Brothers was riding the high of the Christopher Nolan Batman films. You got to understand The Dark Knight Rises, which is a gritty, realistic interpretation of Batman. What if Batman was in the real world? I'm sick of seeing ultra realistic characters, bro. They're comic book characters. Clearly, Batman is an outlier, bro. Batman is the most fictitious thing that you could possibly imagine. A billionaire, an altruistic billionaire. As we can tell, that's not realistic. I was so happy to see a Superman that's like how Superman is in the comic books, bro. He's saving squirrels. He doesn't curse. He's an inspiration. I'm going to get into the spoiler section later, but he inspires his fellow heroes to fight for justice too. He inspires his fellow heroes to do that too. And those things are exactly the traits that Superman is supposed to represent. I feel like James Gunn and the actor that played Superman, David Cornsweet, they both did a fantastic job of understanding the character, of reading the source material, and understanding the character that Superman is supposed to be. He's not Batman, bro. He's not bleak, and he's not fucking sad and shit. No, damn. No, he's a beacon of optimism and somebody that audiences and readers and listeners should aspire to be. Even from the bright suit, I think Man of Steel had an intentionally dark suit. This suit is bright, and they've even brought back the classic Superman underwear. And I've read somewhere that that was an intentional choice on the part of the actor David Cornsweet to show that for a guy like Superman who has all these powers and has all these great abilities, that would be threatening to the outside world. He specifically voted to have the trunks in to alleviate some of that fear that would come with basically having a god flying around in your city. He humanized himself, and I think that's another key aspect of why I like this Superman. He wasn't portrayed to be a god like in Zack Snyder's films. Zack Snyder even had specific biblical references in his films to allude to the fact that Superman is supposed to be a god. No, if anything, in this movie, James Gunn really humanized Superman in a way that I think hasn't been done before. He has flaws. Essentially, he has a monologue basically talking to the audience, saying that I'm just as every bit of human as you are. And even in certain scenes, he makes mistakes. He's not always perfect. He always does the right thing, but sometimes his idea of doing the right thing, he doesn't think through the consequences. He's just trying to help as many people as he possibly can. And sometimes he'll even disregard the consequences that might come with helping as many people as he can. So I like that he was a symbol of hope without having to directly state it. He is what he represents. It doesn't have to be overtly stated that he's this symbol of hope. It's just who he is. Another thing that I saw in this movie, that it put a direct emphasis on Superman saving lives. And I hate to shit on Zack Snyder, but we gotta do what we gotta do. Listen, in Man of Steel, bro, Metropolis gets mollywopped, bro. Metropolis is destruction, is havoc, and Superman is right in the middle fighting Zod, all in the midst of Metropolis while people are dying, while the city is going to shit. And Zack Snyder doesn't make any attempts to show that Superman is going out of his way, is being meticulous about trying to save people. By the time the film ends, Metropolis is basically a wasteland, bro. I don't know how it got rebuilt. They don't state it in the movie, but somehow off screen, the whole of Metropolis just got rebuilt in one day, and they don't really tell the audience how. In this movie, like I said, Superman is going out of his way to save people. He's going out of his way to save kids. He's going out of his way to rescue cats from trees. He's going out of his way to save squirrels. And that meant a lot to me as somebody who's a comic book fan and knows what Superman is supposed to represent, who knows the character of Superman. And I feel like the previous movies, specifically Zack Snyder again didn't really get that interpretation right. So to see it be so well done in this movie, it made me feel good. And that's exactly how you want to be leaving a Superman movie. Motherfucker, I don't want to have to contemplate if Superman is morally right or morally just. It's Superman, bro. It's Superman. I'm getting frustrated. I'm getting frustrated thinking about Zack Snyder, bro. You pissed me off, bro. I was so happy to see James Gunn understand all of the elements that Superman is supposed to represent. I was so happy to see that. I was so happy that he paid attention to detail. Flaws that people critique Man of Steel for. And James Gunn listened to that. He saw the feedback and he was like, all right, I'm going to pivot in this direction. A more comic accurate Superman. So overall, I liked a lot about the movie. Like I said, James Gunn is one of my favorite directors. He has a really good understanding and familiarity with the characters in the comics, and he does a really good job of bringing a lot of characters onto the screen. Mr. Terrific is in this. He had a really good scene that really stole the show of the whole movie. Guy Gardner. A lot of people talk about Mr. Terrific, but every time Guy Gardner was on screen, I loved it. So all of the actors really did a good job, and they really took it seriously. It wasn't anybody that was just shirking their responsibilities as an actor because they're in a comic book movie, because that sometimes happens. Like, people were taking their job seriously, and I really appreciate that as a fan of both movies and comics. Another thing that I liked, I feel like it goes without saying, like, James Gunn does a really good job of picking the right soundtracks, but in this he does a really good job of picking the right soundtracks. But in this movie specifically, he focused a lot on the score. Is more score heavy as opposed to his previous films, which were leaned a lot more into utilizing soundtracks. I think he did a great job with that as well. He picked the right guy, and I feel like he even weaved in a little bit of the Christopher Reeves Superman theme into it, kind of making it newer and refreshing it as well. And something else I want to mention was Lex Luthor. He had his own theme. Every time Lex Luthor or the villains would come on screen, they had a specific score that would come on to underscore the feelings that the audience should feel when this character is on screen. It was dark, basically, and I kind of feel like they did a good job of using the score to represent how Luthor should be and how his character kind of should feel. Obviously, I think the action was really well done, really well choreographed, and really well shot as well. James Gunn, I feel like in Guardians of the Galaxy 3, he mastered using utilizing the camera. Specifically, I heard tell of somebody say that when he was doing the fight with the flying scenes with Adam Warlock, he was making preparation on how he was gonna use the camera to follow Superman as he flies. And I think if that was the case, if he was using that character to be able to shoot Superman, I think he did an excellent job. And all of the flying scenes were really riveting. Every time Superman flew, that was dope to me. That was dope. I feel like they really characterized his movements and how he should feel, and how we should feel as the audience going along with him on these flights. I think that was really interesting to me. Speaking of the action scenes, like I said, they were really well choreographed. They were really meticulous in the way that, all the punches felt they had weight. Even with dealing with a character like Superman, when it's really easy to just be like, oh, he's a guy, he can punch and knock out anybody. James Gunn still did a really, really good job of making these scenes feel well choreographed, and also making it feel like Superman could lose. A lot of times that's a problem as well. Superman is such a powerful character that a lot of times it feels like he doesn't really face any obstacles or doesn't face any hurdles in victory. This wasn't really the case with that film. We see Superman lose a lot. If anything, that might be a problem to some people. It didn't really bother me. I think it kind of went along with the element that he's not human per se, but he's vulnerable.